Welcome to Mrigashira, a podcast that communicates with communicators. Is brought to you in association with Digitales. I'm Radha Radhakrishnan. Let's begin. We have with us today Tarun Katial, one of the most successful executives in the Indian media tech industry. We discuss how artificial intelligence and machine learning tools can help content creation and content strategy. We also discuss the interesting topic of the future of traditional media and large media houses. Hi Tarun, welcome to Mrigashira.
It's actually interesting what you have done all these years because very few people have managed to, marry technology with media, right? So I would be keen to understand where and how did you get onto this journey?
So about 2010 and whereabouts of that, when I was running Big FM, we realized that having a diverse radio station across so many cities and so many towns was a challenge. And we realized that unless we relied on automation and technology, our service delivery, our quality of content, our ability to be able to both localize as well as provide for differentiation and to be able to train our teams in some minimum standards of storytelling or content generation will not happen.
Yeah.
And so way back in 2010, me and the team and me at that time, we decided to automate our entire content delivery pipeline. And that was my first commitment to technology in the way that you see today, right? What we really did was we created what only the US had seen, the theory of network stations, where we were able to deliver some content which through pipes nationally and some content within that content locally. And so we would have a national breakfast show which was interjected by local RJs in a handoff way across many markets. So local markets would also get good quality content from cities like Bombay and Delhi and others, where we would pipe in stuff like the financial markets and Bollywood and so on and so forth. And we had Bhavna Sumaya and some of the other specialists who would actually go live in many markets with many RJs at the same time. So, I realized that, we've got to have technology intervention. And we also, at that time, started to do far more with modeling on music playout. You call AI and ML today on optimizing curations and optimizing platforms started way back then in building models around what should be the burnout on music, what should be the burnout on content, and how should we really use technology, machine learning data in being able to provide both variety as well as a certain amount of depth of music content to our users. And that really made me realize that content into technology, into communities was the way forward. And I had fair amount of opportunities to continue to optimize the network then. But in in the mid 2010 decade, about 2014, 2015, I got fairly committed to creating digital content, which is where, we actually had our first brush with podcasting. We started to deliver stories through Nilesh Mishra, both on social as well as on radio together. And we saw a serious offtake of, the Facebook pages for Yado Ke Idiot Box. And our ability to deliver that content into so many markets outside of where we own radio stations actually encourage us to go digital. And so that was our first brush with digital content deployed in a fairly mass scale. And that really worked out, which led me to believe that the next logical step would be to be able to personalize content at an n equal to 1 level, both in an audio and a video format. And I got the opportunity to then transition into Z, to be the founder CEO of Z5, where really the key aspect of convenience, video on demand, personalization, diversity of content, and so on and so forth started to play out at scale.
Brings me to two other questions. One is that what made you believe in so much of customization of content, particularly in languages?
So let me take one step back, right? My own career started with television in the early 2000s when we did KBC and Kyunki and some of the other shows. And we realized at that point in time itself that, geographic segmentation was the key to success. And Kyunki was the first show that got set up with Gujarat as its background, right? And we then realized that we needed to do shows which had different geographic SCR level customization or background to be able to build a fairly good base of users across the country. And so when we did Kasauti, that had a Bengali backdrop and so on and so forth, right? And over the years, that trick really worked for us, from being metro-centric to being geography-centric to being able to build really, to understanding that we needed to make sure that we had even characters within shows which had different SCR, socio-cultural region backdrops. I understood very clearly that India lived in its languages, right? And India was not one country, but many countries within one country. I got the opportunity then to launch Big FM, which was 60 stations across the country. And right from the northeast in Guwahati to, Trivandrum in Kerala to Srinagar at one end and to, a small town in Tamil Nadu. We had really local ethos in whatever we were creating. That really gave me the impetus and the encouragement to understand that, if you had to have to appeal to the soul of this country, then, and as I moved to Z through the AccuHire, the two things that were common between me and the culture at Z was their belief in languages. So Z also had expanded very beautifully their regional language network, and it was one of the most powerful networks that they had. So they had a commitment to content creation in so many languages. And I had a great background in languages across Big FM. We then also built the UI and UX in those many languages. So our 3 V's used to be vernacular, video, and voice. And so vernacular was, and we realized that being in languages will give us the kind of width and depth of growth that we needed. So that really was our starting point. We started the platform itself in 12 to 14 languages, which was really a first time in India. Even Google and Facebook and the others were only in 3 to 5 to 6 languages. And that really gave us a quick hockey stick growth in the marketplace.
The other thing that you had mentioned in your earlier response, Tarun, was that, bringing technology into everything that you are doing. Do you see media organizations using technology and digital platform effectively to, cross-sell their content? Do you see them having robust analytics, for example, or consumer insights to be able to customize more and more content?
I think there is still a lot of room of, the role of AI and ML into content creation for sure. You've spoken about a subject that's very close to my heart. I have invested in developing a platform just very recently, which will allow content creators to be able to use AI. It's called serendipitymedia.tech. Yes. Do take a look at it. It's really about making sure that you can get inspiration for diverse stories across the country and the world, and you're able to write and get feedback on your stories real time, so that you're able to build out a content ecosystem that has consumer as well as critics feedback at the core of it, but is also inspired by true stories that happen in our environment. The stories are relevant, the stories are distinct, and the stories have resonance to the average Indian's or your average consumer's life.
Do you see that, large media as we know may not exist, let's say 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, the way it exists today?
It's definitely not going to exist the way it exists today. Both print as well as television will have to become extremely personalized. And in the process of being personalized, they will have to bring in diversity. They will have to build in multi-content formats. They will have to bring in content discovery. They will have to invest in building communities. So I think content is not going to be content alone. Content is going to be personalized content into communities and also now increasingly into commerce.
Yes, that's true. And you have always managed to get technology and consumer insights, beautifully together. Now, how do you marry the two?
I think, instinctively, you've got to have faith in data. Most of us love data, but when we want to apply data into our day-to-day work, look away from it. We tend to believe that our empirical knowledge and understanding of users is better than the data we see. I think you've got to break that wall, that third wall that exists between you and data. Like in all religion, why do you believe in religion? It's because you have some level of faith in it, right? You've got to put faith in numbers. You've got to put some faith in consumer and user insights to be able to adopt them in your day-to-day work. And if you do that, then you will see that your resonance with your audiences or your user base will start to grow very well. Also, give yourself an opportunity to fail. Give yourself an opportunity to experiment through data. A/B testing is much cheaper. Your ability to be able to deploy content in the digital world is much easier. But also that lends to your ability to learn quickly and fail fast.
Data for many people is like antithesis to gut feel, right? Because a lot of people go with a certain amount of instinct and gut feel.
And what is your gut built up of? Your gut is generally built up of your past experiences, right?
Yes.
If you give visibility to data to your day-to-day experiences, your gut will start to build better intuition and better instinct, right? Your intuitive sense or your instinct, as they call it, and there are many books on the gut feeling, is all built on your paradigms of years of experience, right? To feel a certain way because over the years, your subconscious has learned from a lot of your experiences. Now, if you let your subconscious learn over a period of time from the data nuggets, from the data insights that you see, your subconscious will start to become more and more intuitive towards, being analytical.
Some of the things that one talks about in terms of customizing content, in terms of using technology, using digital resources, these are not going to, this requires a certain amount of investment and they're not going to be free, right? So do you see, customers, consumers paying for content at any point in time? I mean, how will that change significantly?
We also believe the same thing. But look at what has happened to Hotstar. From a base of 2 million 2 years ago, they're at a base of 30 million. It's incredible how many people are paying for content. And to believe people are not paying for content, people have always paid for content. People have paid for newspapers, people have paid for cable, people have paid for traditional media all this while, right? Are they going to pay for digital media? Yes, they're going to. Why? Because they're going to see value in digital media. Are they going to be able to measure what they get out of digital media? Yes. But only if digital media gives them personalization and exclusivity. The problem is that as digital content creators, we need to take a choice, right? Are we confident about our product and are we going to keep it exclusive and just promote it on social media, or are we going to give it away on social media non-exclusively? If you give it away on non-exclusively on social media, don't expect people to pay for it. The value of your content is how you define it, right? All along, users have paid for content. You never got your newspaper free. You've never got your TV channels free. For your cable operator or your DTH operator, far more than what you're paying for OTT platforms. You're paying for, and I was looking at this, right? Yesterday, I wanted to watch a show which was on Lionsgate. It's a lovely show.
Yeah.
And I don't have the Lionsgate subscription. And I went and bought it. It was some $600 a year. Now think about it. It was a Sunday night. In another day, I would have gone to a theater to watch a movie for an evening, right? in a good old days 2 years ago. That would have cost me far more than $600. I am paying for media and media consumption. I'm watching this at home for $600 a year now.
Thanks a lot, Tarun. It was great talking to you.
I think, you've asked me some very pertinent questions. Very few people go so deep into the theory of, user behavior and why people do what they do. So thank you so much for, prodding me on and nudging me to think like this. Every interview also is enriching to me because I'm able to articulate my own thoughts better to myself and, submerge them into my own subconscious.
Hope you enjoy listening to Mrigashira, a podcast for communication folks. Do share your suggestions and feedback on mrigashira@digitales.co.in. Have a great week ahead and do not forget to tune in next week. Adios.